Welcome to Plain Talk, a podcast dedicated to bringing useful marketing, advertising, and public relations tips and information to small and micro businesses, nonprofits, and beyond. Hosted by the team at In Plain Sight Marketing. We're excited you're here.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and welcome to Plain Talk with In Plain Sight Marketing. I have Kathy Taylor on today, and she's going to talk a little bit about public relations. So going into that, Kathy, what is public relations?
So as defined by the Public Relations Society of America, public relations is it's a strategic communication process building mutually beneficial relationships for an organization and its publics.
Awesome. Can you dive a little deeper and tell me what
does that mean in plain talk? Okay, in plain talk, it means basically public relations is a methodical process-driven way of building relationships with your audiences, whether it's community relations, media relations, government relations, anything like that. It's building relationships. So if you think about marketing, is mostly transactional. It's I serve you up an ad and you buy my stuff. Where public relations is more about building relationships, long-term relationships, and then creating mutual benefit for both the organization and the people.
Okay, and so going into PR, what are some of the projects you've worked on that are related to public relations with your clients?
Oh my gosh, the two that come to mind for me, we have a client who was trying to build a meat processing facility in a rural ranching community. And so we did a lot of public outreach where we had events that people could come and tour the facility, or we had another evening event where people could come out and speak to the engineers on the project to see if they had concerns about water usage or just the project itself. They could speak to the people who were designing the project. So that was one, a lot of community outreach, a lot of speaking with our government leaders to try to educate them on the process and the plant. And then another one we did that was really, really cool is we had a school for students on the autism spectrum, and they were in need of help getting people to take tours at the school. There wasn't a lot of education in a large county about this small school for students. And so we did a series of videos with families talking about the impact that this school had, and we placed strategic ads and strategic paid content stories and videos about these families, and we were able to turn it around and double the number of people coming in for tours, and they were able to keep the doors open because they had enough students coming in. So it could be anywhere from talking to families about a small school to trying to change perceptions of projects that people don't like, and it involves a lot of tactics.
Yeah, it sounds like you can get a lot of amazing stuff done through PR for sure, though. So we talked a lot about earned media and owned media. Can you tell me what those are and why they're important?
Yeah, so in public relations, we kind of go by this model that was introduced by Ginny Dietrich of a company called Spin Sucks, and she's like this PR guru, and we love her. And she came up with what they call the peso model. And if you can picture a Venn diagram with four circles. It's paid media, earned media, shared media, and owned media. And each of those things are different. So when you think about public relations, most people think, oh, they write press releases and talk to reporters all day. But we do a lot of things. So paid media is, let's say, it's an expert column that we pay for placement in a news paper or online or something, or it's ads or whatever. That's paid media. And then earned media is media basically that we receive due to our efforts. So if I put out a press release and a news organization gets that press release and says, wow, this is a cool story, I want to talk to those people and I'm going to put you on my broadcast tonight, that's an example of earned media. Because we didn't pay for the placement, we earned the placement based on the content that we put out. And then shared media is any time that you share a social media post or something like that. It's something that it was created by someone else and that you shared it, or they shared something I created.
Okay.
And then owned media is stuff that I create. So it's my blog posts, it's white papers, it's survey results, it's my own social media posts. That's owned media. So we use all four of those when we're crafting strategies on how we're going to reach people to build those mutually beneficial relationships. Because people receive information in different ways. So we take all of those things into consideration when we're building our plans.
Awesome. So when you're creating this project plan, what typically do you need to have a good campaign? What does it take?
Any good campaign has four clear things, and this is based on public relations concepts, and we call the first one is RPI: research, planning, implementation, and evaluation. And you have to have all of those things to make a good campaign, because anytime you put out a campaign, whether it's a public relations or a marketing campaign, you're basically building a hypothesis. So it's kind of scientific if you think about it. You have a hypothesis that if I do all of these things, all of these people are going to buy my stuff or use my service or whatever you're trying to get out there. And so the research component is really important because it tells us what's happening in the marketplace, who are the competitors, who are the people that want this, and why do they want it, and how do they communicate, so that when I go to start making my plan, I have a pretty clear idea of what I'm going to do and that my hypothesis is correct. So then we go into the planning stage, where I build the strategic roadmap of how I'm going to accomplish the goals and objectives that I've identified through research that my client needs.
Okay.
And part of that planning is the implementation phase, because let's face it, when we go to implement anything, it's messy, right? So
Yeah.
a good implementation plan has what deliverables you're going to do. It has deadlines, it has budget, it thinks about what are the human resources costs, and what is the accountability, who's doing what when, and how are they doing it. So then we implement the plan, and we're asking ourselves, okay, and then what happens, and then what happens, and then what happens, until we can clearly know that it's going to work the way we want it to. So we implement, and then we evaluate all of the key performance metrics that we identified in our research and planning phase. We're going to measure, and it could be, we like to think about outputs versus outcomes. So an output could be, I'm going to write 7 press releases and 16 social media posts. That's an output. An outcome is, what do we want those things to do? So a clearly defined plan is going to say, yeah, okay, you can put out 7 press releases, but why are you doing it, and what do you hope to accomplish? Well, I really want to get an interview on this news channel because it reaches this audience that I'm trying to get. So we really want to say, if I write 7 social media posts, how many people are going to engage with my content? And then will that turn into click-throughs to my website? So we identify those kinds of key performance metrics to make sure that we're going to hit all of the things that we want to do. And so when we're in an evaluation phase, we're going, yeah, this is working, and that's not working so much. Let's tweak it and see if we can make it work. So the evaluation phase is really important as our campaigns roll around again, or as we go on to new things, we take that learning with us.
Yeah, it's a learning process, and you can take what worked and what didn't work and put into other clients' campaigns.
Absolutely, because we know certain things will work in certain circumstances, and that's why that research is so important.
Definitely. So how did you decide, as that in plain sight marketing, that we're going to work with PR and work this way?
Great question. We didn't always work this way. We had a lot of varied experience coming in to forming an agency. And in 2017, I'd been a member of Public Relations Society of America for quite some time. And I decided to earn my accreditation in PR through PRSA. And what that is it's a rigorous academic process that through the exam process and all of the other things, you show that you have mastery of the knowledge, skills, and abilities put forth by PRSA And I learned so much because, as I mentioned before, it's really about process. It's process driven. And so PR gives us that structure around all the things we do. And once I got my accreditation, I was like, wow, we have to do this with everything. And so we do. So even if we are buying a piece of software for the company, it's an expensive purchase. So we'll do the research on, is this the right one? Are there better ones? What can it do for us? And then we'll plan for implementing it. And then we'll roll into that implementation process so that, it's seamless and not hairy, because software integrations are scary. And then, we'll evaluate, make sure it's still the right tool and that everybody's using it the way they should. And do we need to have more education on it or training or whatever? So it's really changed how we practice. And in that time frame, we've earned, I don't know, countless awards on the types of work that we do because we stick to this process.
Awesome. And someone looking to get into public relations, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to check out Public Relations Society of America. There are chapters all over the country. I belong to the Sierra Nevada chapter here in the Reno Tahoe area. And you can learn more at prsa.org on accreditation and how to continue to learn. It's a lifetime learning process, and I absolutely love it. People come in from all different places. I have a mentor who was a news anchor for, 20 years. And he decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go into state work. He ended up being the state public information officer in Oregon for the Oregon Department of Transportation. And he got into his role and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything about PR. What is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? And so he went to PRSA and they took him under their wing, and he went through the accreditation process. And now he's acting as a mentor to all kinds of PR practitioners. So
awesome.
Yeah, so you have to have 5 years of experience in PR or a related field like news to start the accreditation process. But I would start with just going to workshops and webinars and all of the things you can get.
Definitely. So it seems like you have a ton of experience, and I appreciate you sharing all your public relations knowledge with us, Kathy. Thanks so much for coming on today.
No, thanks for having me, Olivia.
Thanks for listening to Plain Talk. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share with your colleagues and peers. To get show notes and listen to more episodes, visit our website at ipsmllc.com/category/podcasts.